What is up, down, and sideways, you beautiful individuals? It is another FPF League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you. Fine, folks, for day one action on the Rift. First stand already highlighted. We are blessed with the NA versus EU rivalry. They might have new names, LTA versus EMEA, and the LCK versus LPL Titans at the top of all international competitions. And you know, this one series is going to fuel the trash talk for, right through to MSI at the very least. So at least 3+ months.
We need anything we can get if you're talking about whatever region, North America or Europe, to take anything that we can for bragging rights, and especially against each other. That's what we got with Team Liquid and Karmine Corp kicking things off in the first stand event with the very first matchup of the day.
And I think the biggest story headline from this first series is, well, number one, we came into this series being worried about Umti, how he was going to match up against some of these other junglers. I don't know. Maybe it's some home stew cooking back in South Korea. It's seeing the Jin Air and Freddy Brion logos around the LCK Low Park, but my man absolutely stepped up from the get-go in this first game. From basically the very first play, where it looks like he's inting on the Maokai, and you go, oh, this guy's just baiting, and he's an actual genius.
Oh my God. Umti. Everybody, and I mean everybody, has got to get on their hands and knees and apologize to this guy with the performances that he brought through for Team Liquid on the day, the individual, the team aspect of it all. Umti was a major role in what went right for Team Liquid on the day and how they were able to separate themselves from Karmine Corp at the end of this 3-game series. Very happy with his performance, very surprised with it heading into this event, given what we had seen from him, some of the struggles, and then knowing what was going to be on the other side and what we thought we'd be able to see from Yike and the rest of Karmine Corp. Different story on the day, to say the least.
Yeah, and what wasn't a surprise was the absolute dominant laning phase out of Jan and Core JJ in that bottom lane. Even Umti didn't even need to cause a gank in this first game. Just hovering near that bottom quadrant of the map was enough for them to play so aggressively and constantly keep Khalees and Targamas under the turret.
And I think that's something underestimated heading into this matchup was the Core JJ factor of that bottom lane duo. So much of the attention around the young, talented ADCs, you forget just how they can be amplified, how they can be supported and brought up with that extra guy, that buddy in that bot lane. And Core JJ, he's got a lot of smarts down there, a lot of strategy, and a lot of calm, cool, collected presence there. And in the first game of an event like this, alongside Jan and the talent that he's got, that was a big, good ticket for Team Liquid.
Now, Karmine Corp didn't roll over. It was a flip of the script in the second game. Yike has a fantastic bounce back. Umti on the Skarner has some whiffs, and really this big 2v3 for Kana and Yike in the top side basically turns around this entire game. There's some anti-synergy between Umti and Impact at this point.
Yeah, it was a struggle, for sure, to say the least, when you're seeing this one and knowing, Impact and the steady performances that he is very much relied upon, and to be even in losing situations for Team Liquid, a little too extreme on this Mbessa's 0-5 in type of territory. And then you can throw in a little bit of praise again in the bounce back performance in this series into Khalees down in that bottom lane, kind of not really, I don't want to say blown up in that first game, but absolutely getting taken advantage of by Jan and Khalees and getting put on the back foot. This was a different story with where his damage was on the misfortune.
And, again, a lot of that was kind of getting spoon-fed to him. This was very much the top half of the map. Vladdy gets this egregious solo kill on APA, who he's just ignoring him, trying to creep some of the minions so he can back up. But that was bad.
It's bad. No matter whatever explanation and whatever way you want to slice it, it was not a good look for that one for today. But you live with those ones because it's moving to game 3, and it's all about blocking it out of your mind, getting set for the new fresh draft, the Fearless coming on through. How can we dial this one up as Team Liquid?
And apparently it's dialing it back by going back a couple years, because game 3 Fearless, we get Zeri Yumi versus Lucian Nami in the bot lane, and it starts with what looks like disaster, as it's actually Corp getting the 2v2 kill in a lane that they should not be.
They should not be picking up that advantage, and it is Zeri. Khalees getting that head start and starting the power train for Karmine Corp. How is Team Liquid going to turn this around? I'll tell you how they're going to turn this around. It's going to be General Umti coming up big in front of the hometown crowd in Game 3.
Yeah, and I mean, really, that first blood was one of the lone highlights for KC in this third game, because after that, it was just them showing no real restraint in taking team fights. They're contesting dragons when they're down a few K, that it's not even sole point. They don't need to be fighting. It really shows that it felt like they could just outplay their way in a lot of LEC matches, but when they're on the back foot against Team Liquid and against a Nocturne, they keep pushing into, lose vision, get confused, discombobulated, and it happened time and time again in these team fights. You mentioned Umti. At one point, he was 4 levels higher than Yike in this match and almost flame horizoning this dude.
This was very much a situation of the inexperience on the side of Karmine Corp, making a tactical error when you're talking about a Game 3 type of situation here, going for the do or die, all or nothing type of plays, and feeling that pressure of, okay, well, we got to just keep it going in our side, keep accelerating all these type of things. And as you said, that leads to taking a lot of these fights where it goes, what is the purpose of this fight other than you just thinking you're going to skill gap them, get the advantage, whatever type of thing? Because if there really is no other purpose behind this, why are we doing this, folks? Why are we doing this? Why are we taking the chances and all these type of things? You give those chances over to an experienced duo like Jan and Corj in that bottom lane on something familiar like the Lucian and Nami. I don't care how far away from the meta it is. We talk about this with Fearless. As you start to remove the prime options, the head and shoulders, clear options, you start heading into territories where it's about picking a clear composition, having an identity within the champions you pick. You got that in spades if you are Team Liquid, knowing what to do with the Lucian Nami and knowing the power that someone like Jan is going to have if he's utilizing it and getting set up right.
Yeah, 9-1 and 26 combined scoreline for that bot lane after that first blood that went their way. But this, it really, I mean, the 2 losses for Yike are an absolute disaster. 1-12 and 0 combined in those 2. Yes, it's Umti stepping up, but Yike just getting caught out too many times. How many times was this guy Xin Zhao ulting just to try and survive and running away? It was basically never used as an engage tool.
It's unfortunate, and I don't know how much of it's on the individual player, but that seems like one of the worst Xin Zhao performances we'll see on the international stage because of just how pathetic it seems to be having that ult and just, kind of tail tucked between your legs running away at that point as this warrior champion type of thing that Xin Zhao is supposed to be.
He did less damage than Nami. That's all you got to say.
That ain't how it's supposed to be when you're seeing things like that. So need a bounce back from Yike if you're looking at Karmine Corp heading right into next day against the Flying Oysters. And it's not going to be any real easier knowing that it is the Flying Oysters because, well, yeah, Flying Oysters, but it's Junjia in the jungle, one of the more stacked positions that they've got, and someone that has plenty of this experience on the international stage, going to have to step up and be able to find that zone if you are Yike and the rest of Karmine Corp tomorrow.
And I'm sorry to Jan. I'm sorry to Core JJ. You got us. We believed, we knew you were great, but this was an absolute standout performance and a clear 2v2 gap across the board for that Team Liquid squad to get a 1-0 start. Tournament favorites in Hanwha Life matching up against the Gauntlet LPL champions in Top Esports. And this one starts with pretty standard drafts across the board. Obviously, we know the 369 Zeus head-to-head they were playing up goes back multiple years on both JDG and TES. Obviously, T1 for Zeus. And early on, Viper gets a few kills on the Ezreal, and he looks confident. And a confident Viper on Ezreal is usually GG.
There's one Ezreal that you just do not want to feed whatsoever, and it's Viper's Ezreal. It's as simple as that when it comes through. You can feed anybody else's Ezreal, and maybe they'll still make that whoopsie on the E, the timing, and it's I don't have it, now I'm caught out, all these type of things. It can happen. Not with Viper. Not with Viper. It doesn't happen with him. He's got the damage. He is able to dance around a fight and dish out more damage than I think is even possible on a little boy like Ezreal out there on the Rift. But man, Viper is dealing it, and he was crushing it in this first game for Hanwha Life, not allowing any type of pressure to come through the poke of this Hanwha Life team.
And you know, it's crazy. This first game, Kanavi starts off so well. He's got the second most XP in the game, second most gold behind Viper. He has all 4 kills early on for top esports, and then all it takes is him getting caught out once. You know, he makes a mistake, he dies, and then it's on to Baron for Hanwha Life, and from there, I mean, really both games of this series, you see it's an even playing field, and then Hanwha Life's team fighting prowess. We've seen wombo combos against T1. We've seen turnaround fights against both D+ and Gen G. Seemingly from nothing, they pulled out these 4 for 0, 5 for 0s because the synergy for this team is at another level right now.
That's one of those things that's going to be very scary about Hanwha Life, is knowing that this was really a game that, you know, outside of Viper making a difference for himself, you go to that one small overstep, one small mistake in decision making for Kanavi, and the way that is capitalized, taking that opportunity and run with it for Hanwha Life, and how it cracks open the rest of the game. That is the scary part for me, because you can make an honest to goodness, easy, you know, under the radar type of mistake that all against 99% of teams doesn't get punished, doesn't get noticed. Hanwha Life will notice and will capitalize on that with this team. And that's, you know, whether that's going to be the bot lane of Viper finding an extra kill and getting that power up, whether it's Zeka controlling that mid lane, or if it's going to be guys like Peanut and Zeus causing disruption around that top side, or when they're in a team fight, the synergy. Hanwha Life, so good at punishing your mistakes.
And yeah, that's the case in point. They win a team fight and they're winning the game in the next 3 to 4 minutes, with or without some objective controls. And unfortunately, that rough one play for Kanavi kind of translated into game 2, because this level 3 forced dive on Nocturne was painful to watch.
It was really, again, one of those desperation, trying a little bit too hard, knowing that you are pushing right up against your limits of what you should be doing. Gets caught.
That was like a Gam Levi cosplay gone wrong from 2017.
Oh my goodness, it really was, the way you're thinking about that one. But man, did it really start the engine for Hanwha Life in this game too. And that engine, it is the vintage performance of Nidalee from Peanut in the jungle. My man was hitting those spears left, right, center, left, center, right, center, all of it. He was getting everybody out there on the Rift.
Yeah, it only took one game for some iconic individual picks. The Nidalee, as you mentioned, Aatrox for Zeus, Akali for Zeka. They were all cooking. For some reason, TES seemed like they forgot what Akali does when she just goes invisible under turret. But the submarine comp with the Gragas, Nocturne, and Orianna. We know the Shockwave Nocturne combo is a big deal. One of the plays, Viper flashes away from it, so it's basically useless. The other time, it still hits him, and it barely even gets him to half health. This comp was just never going to come online because Cream was so far behind Zeka.
Oh, man. G2 just patting top esports on the back.
Hey, that's how you do it.
We've been there. We tried the combo. And yeah, the combo, if it's not womboing and hitting that damage that it needs to be getting to, well, that ain't much of a combo, boys.
Only R7 can do it against 100 Thieves. That's the only team, you know?
Oh, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing at this point for the LTA with everything combined. We'll leave it there. But yeah, that was the ugly side for top esports, is knowing that even when you got it right, when you landed what you needed to, and you know, even knowing that, okay, the team fight, we're going to have to make concessions costs to get this, you know, wombo to pop off. But if we get the right guy and he's gone, then maybe we got a chance. He wasn't gone. He still had, like, you know, maybe a little bit less than half his health, but he was still around and still in the fight was the problem. Very much a controlled series from Hanwha Life. I think one where, unfortunately, at the end of the day, not tested, not pushed in the type of ways that we were hoping or expected a top esports could.
Yeah, and I mean, the worrying trend here is if this is supposed to be the main competitor, and I know it was close until some of these team fights blew open, but I'm not sure Han was going to be tested at this event.
So that's where this event is really going to come down to. How do you feel the next couple of days are going to play out? How does this shift around the meta, the understanding of how teams want to utilize Fearless here, the individual teams, preferences and champions, all those sorts of things, and how you level up at this event throughout this week? That's going to be the one that it has to be that way if you're going to have someone truly challenge and test a Hanwha life at this point. From what we have seen, Team Liquid, it's not out of the question that they can rise up and keep improving type of thing again. But can you improve to the levels, the heights that is going to be necessary to take down and challenge and truly test a Hanwha life? Very unlikely so far from anybody, especially given what we saw from what we thought would be our top contender and top esports today.
Other big things of note, aside from the actual games, how they played. Number one, anytime there's an international event, you're always hyped for the teaser video, the build-up. And I know this was a quick turnaround by the time all the teams were actually there to actually film anything of note. But this teaser is one of the worst, especially when last year they were knocking them out of the park time and time again. But this time they got like a budget AI voice to put some generic lines for Team Liquid. Like, you might as well have not included the players at all.
This is a capital D-U-D dud. No way are we signing off on this as the promo video for First Stand. Gotta work this one around. This is unacceptable, I think, to a lot of people. It should be unacceptable to even the organization, right? The organizing of this event and the organizations that are involved with it. Have that as what is the promotion, what is the hype for this thing. Knowing what you could do, knowing what you see in other traditional media, traditional sports leagues and how they prepare for these type of things. Yes, a very short turnaround. That doesn't mean that you don't have options as far as what you do for the promo video. Usually for most regions, most leagues, most sports, all these type of things, they go, okay, we have to go to a more broad, more, overview type of thing where you're talking about the teams, you're running through highlights, you get someone to do a narrator voice to carry you through this type of package, because you can't have these teams on location, filming them, interviewing them, all these type of things because of certain things. Whatever it is, there are avenues to do a promo, to do a hype video and work around these type of, deadlines and restrictions you've got. What we got delivered was not the way to do it.
The other potential dud from the day is this new overlay. The UI they're working with. I initially saw this, saw changes going, okay, well, that's cool. At least this must be the Brazilian one that you can now interact with and get all these stats. So let me click around. Oh, there's no interaction. They just tried to do something different, and I understand it might be more approachable for a newbie watching the game, but even if that's the case, it's a little bit of an eyesore.
It was not good, man. Oh my goodness. You want to talk about what was bad? I know a lot of people, immediately were jumping on the score bug that was at the most previous Super Bowl and how ugly that was. This was a whole other level of ugly and unhelpful as a viewer when you're watching this one, the experience of it all. You step away for a couple of seconds, you miss who won a game. Where is it? Am I looking here? Am I looking? Where is it on the screen? I couldn't find any of the numbers, these type of things. Not happy with that one from the fan and the viewership perspective. I understand that, yes, okay, we want to roll a new visual package out to really separate and enhance this First Stand experience. This was not the way to do it whatsoever. Roll it back. I don't care what you had cooked up, what any of the ideas. Go back to the standard one for now. Hit the drawing board for next year on your First Stand overlay.
The bottom half that has all the information about the players was so big, and you have less information. You have their mana bars that are this big, and you don't know what the gold difference is between lanes.
I'm seeing that mana bar, and I'm embarrassed. I thought it was XP, man. I thought it was XP on the bottom because
they're stuck at 100% again. Why can't they level?
I'm screaming at it. Yon, he's about to level up. Get out of there. Oh, it was not leveling up. Whatever.
Okay. He's at 90% mana. Okay, gotcha.
This one's a failure to me. I thought it was very ugly from the fan perspective, and I don't think, as far as just strictly information, it was providing what we needed from the viewer experience.
So day 2 action now, because of course it's a quick turnaround, 6 straight days of action. Very different ends here. You've got Corp going up against Flying Oyster, which all of a sudden you're saying this is borderline must win for Karmine Corp, and Team Liquid going up against Top Esports, what Hanwha just did to TES, if I'm Team Liquid, I'm sitting there going, maybe we can be the second best team at this event.
The drama is going to be on tap for these second games when you're looking at them. As you said, this is by no means a gimme, a layup for Karmine Corp, given how things went against Team Liquid and knowing what is going to be there for the Flying Oysters. So pressure right out of the gates in that first matchup. And then Team Liquid versus Top Esports. That is going to be a very exciting matchup to see. Can Top Esports bounce back? Can they put pressure against this Team Liquid team that should carry some momentum, some confidence from their match against Karmine Corp and what they were able to do against them? Very much looking forward to the games tomorrow.
I guess the main question for TL is, was this Umti really leveling up? Was Yike having a bad day? Because matching up against Kanavi is another beast entirely if Umti can be close to the level that he was at today.
That is a very nice verifier right away for this Team Liquid team to get a proper gauge on where we are with now hometown buffed up Umti at this event type of situation when you're looking across the rift, and it will be Kanavi on the other side. The other one for me, again, is going to be looking at Impact and 369, a very veteran matchup in that top side. And for Jan, he's stepping on up. Jackie Love next up on the docket. He might not be, you know, the prospect in Khalees that we had all been looking at and the hype around him, but still someone very, very accomplished and very talented throughout his career. Need to see that level up from him and his buddy Corp JJ controlling things in the bottom lane.
And jumping back to the top side, remember, Kana was ahead in pretty much all three of these games, even though they lost them. I know Impact was on Ornn, Cassante duty, but we'll see how the champion pool, if Impact relies too heavily on those fallback picks against somebody like 369, who Top Esports knows how to play around if he gets a lead and can run away with the game. But this is still just warming up for this tourney. Only 2 series in, plenty more to get to. But that is it today for League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you. Gorgeous individuals. Thanks for hanging out, and we will catch you on that flippity flip.